Howdy, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Figure It Out. Witty tagline here. I'm Joe. With me, as always, is Mike and Tyler. Guys, how y'all doing?
Doing good. Vehicles, barbecue, and OU Sooners. Did I do it right?
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Got it in one. Unfortunately, Tyler is unable to be with us today. However, we have been fortunate enough to have our dear friend Randy from the X and One cast come in and fill in. So for real though, how you guys doing?
I'm good. Just preparing my wallet for the upcoming storms of the summer.
So, yep. Final Fantasy, anything else cooking in that storm?
No, that's mainly it.
It's a pretty big storm, though.
Yeah. You know, the daughter and the son are into the Pokemons as well. And, you know, I got guys trip logistical stuff. And there's always, Legion new stuff will be coming out. So yeah, there's always something.
There's always something. Well,
death by 1,000 cuts.
Yes, 1,000 very large cuts.
Yeah, death by 1,000 cuts.
Buster Swords
are coming from Buster Swords. Exactly.
What Legion stuff are you trying to track down?
So it's kind of in a weird spot right now where they are redoing all the packaging and re-releasing everything. So they're letting all the old stock kind of die out and run out at the stores. But in a few months, it'll start releasing, but it's going to take like a whole year for it to catch up. So I'm trying to get a second X34 land speeder because those are pretty good right now. And I've only got the one, and I don't think the reprint of that's going to be out for like another year. So I would like to get that sooner than later. So if you run into an X34, it's not like $90 on eBay. Let a guy know.
Yeah. Man, if only we did an episode about purchasing figs from eBay.
I know. I should get Tyler on that for me or something. Let him.
Yeah.
Let him snipe.
Yeah, let him do the haranguing.
It's funny how, because this is mostly like a predominant like action figure centric podcast, and you do a very like tabletop centric podcast, and it's funny because the one thing that we overlap on are little plastic figures just scooting around. So that's fun. But
they've been there my whole life. Just they've grown in size, and now they've shrunk down to very small sizes.
Yeah. Well, speaking of being on the hunt for stuff, let's talk acquisitions, guys. Do you got anything?
I got quite a bit of stuff. I have good old Slingshot.
Ooh.
Yeah. And my other brother got me this for my birthday. Good old Mirage. Man, pretty cool stuff. And then the next showstopper, good old Grimlock.
Yes.
Good old G2 Grimlock. Man, this thing is a beaut. And I love the blue. It's got some heft. Like you could huck this at somebody and get them some attention. But man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this.
Oh, it's the background's messing it up.
Oh my gosh. What is that thing?
This is a Trypticon. And it's gigantic. And I love it.
Okay, now I am a complete inbox guy, mint inbox guy, preferably. So I have to ask, are you opening that or not?
Yes.
Okay. Honestly, on that, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Funny you should broach that subject. Triptychon is going to have company outside of the
Yes.
box.
I'm also going to open an Omega Supreme, and we're going to record it. So be on the lookout for that, because
For sure.
Okay.
it drives me crazy. Because now I have Triptychon. It's in a box. The box looks cool. I'm not complaining about the box, but now I can have an Omega Supreme and a Triptychon out fighting, and I can have some space that's opened up, but it's also Triptychon and Omega Supreme. Like, we've played the video game, right? I think it was War for
Warfare.
Cybertron.
Yeah, where they're falling through space, like just punching each other. Yeah.
Yeah. And man, Triptychon, like, it's a even bigger Tyrannosaurus, bigger than Grimlock. So
See, I consider Triptychon like the Godzilla transformer.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I can see that. Which now makes it even more cool, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking very forward to opening both of them, especially since I've got an upgrade kit for the Omega Supreme that's going to make them light up. So be on the lookout for those.
I am looking forward to having to try to figure out how to walk around them in your office when they're out.
Who knows?
How complicated is that going to be to wire that up, or is it pretty out of the box solution?
Last time I did any modification to a transformer, it took me an evening.
I think that was just stickers.
That doesn't sound too bad.
It was. I had to essentially take Hotspot apart and put him back together with different pieces, and I definitely learned how a transformer works. It was a good experience. It was just, man, it was rough. So I imagine the Omega Supreme upgrade is going to be even more challenging.
It will be Omega and Supreme.
That's right. But it'll make me like Omega Supreme even more, because I'll got to kind of mess with the figure a little bit.
Yeah. So what about you, Randy? Do you have anything?
I mean, most of it has been like Halo Flashpoint figs. I've been painting.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, I've got a cool Gungnir I've been painting up here.
Ooh, that gold.
Yeah.
Nice.
Got some basing done on him. I think the last fig I got was the Blockies Transformer.
Yeah.
You got me. He sits on my desk. My son always comes in here and goes, "Why is he pointing at me?" And I'm like, "Well, you come and stand in front of his finger every time." So there's that. Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah, I'll go with that for now.
Yeah, that's solid. Let's see here. I went on Walmart.com and I was able to get Night Force Tunnel Rat.
Ooh,
for just under $15.
Nice.
So that worked out pretty okay. And then I too have the royal blue because he is king. Grimlock with the crown.
Yeah.
So, and also with the sword, but we're here for the crown though.
Yep.
don't lose those accessories.
I will not.
It's dangerous out of the box.
It is, especially with 2 5-year-olds who lost my parakeet from my beachcomber.
So, quick question. One of your twins is obsessed with the color blue.
Mm-hmm.
Has he been able to look at it?
He has. Oh yeah, he's looked at it because it's on the shelf that's more their eye level, so they don't have to reach up. But yeah, he definitely loves looking at it. That is for sure. So, but yeah, so that'll do it for that. Let's real quick though. Randy, I think we're gonna start a tradition
Okay.
where whenever we have a guest on, we're gonna ask who were your toys in the trenches? Throwing it back to episode 1. So who were your top 5 or however many figs growing up?
Oh man, that is an awesome question. I will say, for me, it was a combination of TMNT and a lot of Power Rangers. My earliest toy photo I could find, I'm like running around in Korea with like 3 Super Sentais. Um, and yeah, so I had my mom. She worked at McDonald's when I was a kid when the Power Rangers movie came out, and they had all the McDonald's toys of the Power Rangers, and she like just came home and like gave me all of them one day, and I was like, this is the greatest thing to ever come out of McDonald's. Swear. And so I took those everywhere, and I had various Zords I would always bring with me. Big fan of the Shogun Megazord. I'd bring him around everywhere. And I don't know how I acquired it. I had a really beat up Voltron that I got. Like Black Lion, one of the like the hooks that held one of the arms like was like kind of broken. So like he was always like kind of like battle damage, like jacked up Voltron. But yeah, and then always just like a foot soldier, like a Foot Clan, someone to beat up, right?
Gotta have that one.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so
Well, that's awesome. So we kind of touched on it at the beginning, but what are you collecting these days?
ooh, so yeah, so it's a lot of uh miniatures games. So a lot of my toys don't move or oppose. And what outside of that, it's the rare like statue or fig I'll enjoy. Like I've got the Halo Reach statue. I've got a cool like Odin on Sleipnir from Final Fantasy VIII, and oh, here I always like to show off my Warrior of Light. Love this guy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What
and
set
then
is that from?
I think it's one of the play arts, but it's based on his like Dissidia character design. It's weird. It's only showing his crotch. There we go. Anyways, but yeah, and then honestly, what you guys get me, shelf space is at a premium. So, like action figs is probably a smaller part of my collection, but I feel like they're all bangers. They're all bangers. Yep. So, and most of them are in box.
Almost exclusively.
Almost, yeah.
So, yeah. So, what are you got any chase figures or minis that you're currently actively hunting?
Oh, man, it's been a lot of TCGs on the brain lately, but I had zero desire, but I think yesterday I saw a new like Rodimus Prime fig that I was like, holy crap, I think I want one of these. I don't know if it's from like a new box that they're doing, or it was like an old one that just someone had for sale, but it looked good, so I assumed it was something new. But yeah, and then always Red Hood figs, Ultra Magnus, he's my guy. Yeah, Nightcrawler. Just letting the audience know. I know you guys know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why I'm just like being quiet, letting you cook because it's like so. But yeah, that's awesome. So, uh, this episode is going to be a little different. Instead of talking about a particular franchise or toy line or whatever, we're just going to look at an entire decade in retrospective, and we're taking it back. We're taking it back to the neon '90s. Um, but before we get there, we got to leave the '80s behind, and there were two. I would say I was talking to our oldest brother a while ago, and we were talking about how there was like the line that was distinctly '80s, that was like He-Man, Thundercats, GI Joe, Transformers, and then there was the line that was distinctly '90s as far as cartoon goes, where it was Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men, others. But there was kind of a handshake between the '80s and the '90s. Uh, Tim Burton's Batman movie and those those fun pizza loving Ninja Turtles. So, Mike, can you? Because you were actually there during the late '80s. I I was new. I was a new guy. Can you talk to us a little bit about just the hype around the Burton Batman movies, the toy lines, the marketing stuff?
Yeah, the Batman '89 stuff I remember vividly. There was so much hype around this movie, and deservedly so. The movie was so good when I was little. I remember watching it. Funny story, it was canceled. We were supposed to go see it, and it got canceled because my mom was working late, and it crushed us. And I remember my dad being like, "Hey, the Batman show's on," and he was talking about the '66 version or whatever year it was with Adam West, and I was just like, "This isn't cool." But my older brother, who was normally kind of level headed, he wasn't having it, and he was ticked off. And I remember that vividly because it was one of the rare times that I got to see him kind of lose his head. So because he's normally very well collected, and I remember just so much hype. I remember the toys. I remember the Batwing and being like, "Man, that's so cool." And then the Batmobile where it comes apart. So cool stuff, man. So just man, it was awesome. So many different things.
I just remember getting your leftover action figures, and that was the big crux. That was kind of as much as affiliation in real time that I had with the Burton Batman. What about you, Randy? You got any Batman memories?
Man, I don't know how you were a little boy in the late 80s and early 90s and escaped that time period without getting at least one Batman figure at some point.
Mhm.
Like, even if you had zero interest, some random at a birthday was going to get you a Batman fig, right? Because they were everywhere. Um, I know I had a couple different ones, but the one I remember most vividly was like a Robin one, and it was in the animated series style, but it was one of those like when they were just going ham on the alt outfits. And he was like, it
Mhm.
was like a yellow suit Robin, and he had like this big arm blade spinny thing that you just, it was like a fidget built into a toy before we had a language for all that stuff. Um, but yeah, and that man, I just dude, removable capes. Do you guys remember that like being like a
Yeah.
thing? Like man, those capes back then were such good quality. I feel like, and like, oh, I can tamp down on the collar so it stays on there real good, or I can just
Yeah.
pull it off. It's like, man, they don't do capes like they used to.
I also liked how one of the Batman movies, they had a Michael Keaton where it was just him like before he got dressed into the bat suit. So it's like but then they had accessory pieces you could kind of put
You could like
on.
snap onto them.
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's cool because like him talking to Alfred in the Batcave, because you had the Batcave and that would That was always fun. Them chirping at each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
It's
So
fishy swat,
uh,
sir. It's supposed to be cold.
I was thinking of that exact same line as you said it. I was like, what's that thing he says about it's supposed to be cold? Yep.
yeah. So yeah, so there's Burton Batman, but the main connective tissue that took us from the 80s to the 90s were the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I did not get much education or exposure to the Turtles during that time because my mom thought and still thinks to this day that they were gross and just didn't care to buy us the toys. But like Mike, were you different or were you into other stuff?
Had a few. I had a
Yeah.
Michelangelo, if I remember correctly. I remember the movie. The movie was really good. I really enjoyed watching that. Watched it a lot. Also, I like Casey Jones for some reason. I don't
No,
know what
Casey
that was
Jones, good.
about.
No defense needed.
But I didn't have a ton of figures, but I was a Mikey guy, and uh, the nunchucks were pretty cool. Movie was good. I remember playing the video game on NES and thinking I'm just never going to be good at video games because I couldn't get a turtle to swim through water because I'd always die
I know what
at
you're
the
talking
water
about.
level.
I know what you're talking
And
about.
I remember like thinking as a young kid, okay, so video games aren't my thing. I sold my soul to be able to play sports a little bit. So I'll just stick to being outside most of my time.
No,
That
man, they
game
made
was-
they made that game way too hard. I got one of those like little emulator things, and you still have to save scum your way through that stuff, man. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got my butt kicked several times by that level.
Speaking of the 89 Batman and the Nintendo, the 89 Batman game for the Nintendo was impossible. Impossible.
It was.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't
someone
even
didn't
remember.
someone didn't tell them that, hey, we don't have to feed quarters into this thing. They can just enjoy the
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. So all right, Randy, you said you're always packing turtles. Talk us through the turtles.
Man, I had those movies on VHS as a kid, and I wore those things out. Honestly, it's probably getting close to where I need to watch them with my son. He's 4. That first one's kind of a little more intense. For some reason, I feel like the second and third one are a little bit lighter tone for some reason. But that first one, Raph kind of gets his butt like rocked. It's like it's kind of sketched.
Is that the one where they put him in the bathtub in April?
Yes, and they're like, she's like pouring water on him.
over him.
Yeah,
that was intense, man. I was like, man, he got roughed up.
Yeah, I was like, okay, comic book adaptation achieved. But yeah, I love turtles. As a kid, I was like, oh, these are like the 4 aspects of my personality, right? Like, I got the rage like Raph. I'm smart like Donnie. Like, I can lead like Leo sometimes, and Mikey's who I am when I'm cracked out on sugar. So, Raph was always my favorite. It was like a 2 or 3 foot tall Michelangelo. Like, it wasn't like a plush, it was like hard, and he had like some nunchucks that you would just take and flail around yourself. That one was my favorite Mikey fig I had. My favorite Leo fig I had, it was like a water force one, and so he had like a backpack that you would fill up with water, and then you could push it and he'd squirt water out of his mouth.
That's cool.
That was a distinct memory. Anytime my parents would wash the car in the driveway, because that was a thing people did in the 90s, I'd like play with him at the end of the driveway where all the water would collect. And then my favorite Raph was from the third movie. So he was like wearing like samurai armor.
That's dope.
Yeah. And then my favorite Donnie? I'm not even sure. It might be the one my son has now where he's like riding a skateboard and he like helicopters his bow staff. But yeah. Yeah, good stuff. I think they so shout out to Tyler. I also think I had like a Turtles vehicle, but it was like a patrol boat that I think they would like take through the sewers. Like I don't even know how many episodes of the cartoon it was in. I know when people think Turtles vehicles, it's the van. So,
Yeah.
but my parents were always like that. Like they would buy me Aladdin 2 on VHS, but not 1. Like I always like had like the side
The
thing,
offshoot.
which is probably why I like avoid main character in most properties. And it's like, no, I didn't like the Red Ranger until the Green Ranger showed up.
Yeah.
So I'm a Vegeta guy. What can I say?
Did you read The Last Ronin at all?
Yes, Joe would not let me not read The Last Ronin. It was
That was like the one thing of Turtles that I actually got into on my own, not because my kids were into it. So it was really good. I enjoyed it.
Did you like it, Randy?
It was really good. All the artwork for it is always so heartbreaking. Like seeing like spoilers, sad Mikey like over like his dead brother's bandanas or whatever. But yeah,
and then like his dead brothers are drawn behind him, like holding like with
in the
like
shadows,
their hand on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Like little Force Ghost turtles.
I think they're looking at doing a movie, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I know they're doing. I think they're doing a video game.
Well, whatever they do is if they do it well, like I will be excited to experience that story in motion because it is great.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, this will bring us to the 90s. Like we're in it now. So
as we're leaving the 80s, I have to thank the Turtles and the Transformers for bringing two very important things into the 90s in America. That is giant robots and ninjas, with which my formative years in the 90s would not exist.
Very much so. Especially just as a kid who grew up in Missouri and Oklahoma.
Yeah. It was rough, guys.
You did it, and you're here. So, as far as early 90s, I think this would be a good opportunity to talk about the action figures and toy lines based on the popular cartoons that aired during the weekdays after school and on Saturday mornings. Mine are all pretty much going to be from the Fox Kids block of Spider-Man the Animated Series, X-Men the Animated Series, and of course, Batman the Animated Series. I was an absolute mad lad for Batman the Animated Series. Like I said on one of the previous episodes that I had the Wayne Manor set that I played with a lot. I had the Batmobile from the cartoon, which that's probably one of the reasons if the hot water tank didn't explode and flood the house, me racing the Batmobile across our carpet, wearing it out, probably would have been the reason we would have had to replaced it anyway. So, yeah. What about you guys? Also, I remember there just being X-Men action figures all over the place. What about you, Mike?
I echo that. I remember when you had your tonsils out and you got the penguin. I remember that tradition starting of anytime one of us were sick, we got a toy, which is something I won't let go ever. I remember Batman Animated Series. You would act out the
Opening
credits. You would put this blue towel around with a baby clip, and you had these red Power Rangers gloves, and you would run around and do flips on the couch. I remember that, just laughing. And then the animated series, it would like come on and then it'd be like heavy stuff, like the Mr. Freeze episode. It's like looking back on it, like I'm glad it evolved Batman, because before that, that and the 89 Batman, like Batman was turning a corner. And I think that was a really important time because it really gave way to some good storytelling. Man, Paul Dini, you did such a good job.
And it'd be so easy to say, oh, well, like Batman the Animated Series had such good production, like anyone could write good Batman, but like Paul Dini is the one Batman writer who consistently writes excellent Batman.
Yeah.
Like the Arkham Asylum games, Arkham City, like the Heart of Hush stories that he's done, like just whenever that man touches pen to paper, writing Batman.
So good.
Yeah.
Also touching on X-Men, I remember I had the Colossus with the weight.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. I remember buying it at Target. I had some birthday money and I was so excited to buy it because I stood in line and I held it. And I was just like, I just want to get out of here. It's such a weird concept, right? Because I was old enough to be able to go and, of course, this is the early 90s when you don't have to worry about, well, most parents didn't worry about, stuff like that now. But I was by myself, I paid my, $5.13 or whatever it was, and just stood in line. And I didn't like lines back then, and I still don't. But I also remember a few figures that really stood out. I remember the Gambit from there having that like plastic cloak, and I saw it a few times while we've been on fig hunts, and I remember. Couldn't they have just put some soft goods on this thing and called it a day? Like we didn't need back then an expensive, soft goods, nice upgrade. Like that cheap plastic was just not very good. It wasn't. But I remember you having two cables, right? Believe it or not, Joseph having cables. I know, shocker. But I remember there was a black and like fluorescent green.
It was like a neon, like aqua, because it was like it was the underwater cable.
Yeah, and then I remember you had the space cable that was like blue and an orangish color.
Mm-hmm.
And those really looked cool. I really liked how they looked.
Yeah. What about you, Randy?
So
any cartoons or toys based on cartoons or other shows?
I have to thank those 90s cartoons because without them, I would not have gotten my exposure to those properties. I think the only comics that my older brother had was I distinctly remember a Wolverine versus Ghost Rider that I was like, at the age, I was like, nope, I shouldn't be looking at this one. It was quite intense. I did. But, and then he had a bunch of like those Youngblood comics. Like all those guys that left and started their
Image.
Yeah. So he had a bunch of those. So like that Jim Lee style, I got my appreciation from there first, oddly enough. X-Men was the main series I watched for sure as a kid. Definitely watched Batman. I want to shout out two Batman episodes. One good, one not so good. Well, first I want to thank them for introducing me to Nightwing, because that's how I like knew who Nightwing was the animated series. But also like the stuff with like Bruce and Barbara in that one episode was not cool.
No.
I like, yeah, I'm like, let's not go there. But my favorite Batman the Animated Series episode, which was it? I'm not even sure it was Batman. It might have been Superman, but it's when Bruce is missing and Tim is like trying to hold down Gotham by himself. So Clark's like, I'll be Batman for the weekend.
Yes.
And like they end up taking on Bane, and he just like smokes Bane, and Tim's like, oh yeah, he's been working out.
Yep. That was
love that one.
That was season 4 when they changed it from Batman the Animated Series to the New Adventures of Batman and Robin. And
That's
yes,
right.
that one's a fun one. And it's funny because I saw a interview with the new with the David Cornsweet, the new Superman, and they asked him like if you wanted, like, if you could do any comic book movie, what would you want to do? And he said, I want to do that episode where Superman dresses up as Batman and masquerades as Batman.
It's so hilarious, and you can tell he's enjoying it. Like,
Yes.
it's like, I'm Batman. Even Superman, if he gets the choice to be Batman, he'll be Batman.
Well, I love it too because he tries to like do like the like dark broody thing, but he's got too much Kansas.
You
in
can
him.
just tell he
Like,
wants to
just-
grin all the time.
Yeah.
Oh man. I loved Amazing Spider-Man. The OG Spider-Verse was in the Amazing
Yes.
Spider-Man. That's how I got my introduction to Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider.
Yep.
Love that.
And
dude.
the OG MCU.
Yes.
They're the X-Men crossovers.
Oh my gosh, yes. Those are the best. And then
And then the Daredevil 2-parter. I think it was called I can't remember what season it was, but like the overarching storyline was, I think it was called Sins of the Father. And there was a 2-parter where Peter Parker gets framed and needs an attorney, and Matt Murdock shows up, and it's chef's kiss.
It's the blueprint. They just gotta go look at that. And then I mean, those X-Men episodes, that's how I was lucky to catch that one Nightcrawler episode, right? And it's like, this guy's the best, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't have a ton of figs from those, but I do remember I got handed down or gifted from a cousin a Wolverine yellow blue outfit. But funny enough, he was missing one of his arms from the elbow down. But I was just like, I don't know, like, is it kind of lame to have a damaged toy? But I was like, man, he just got really jacked up, which is crazy because it's Wolverine and he's got a healing factor, right? So he's really messed up. Long before I'd ever seen a picture of him in Age of Apocalypse. So when that happened, I was just like, oh, I was just ahead of the curve. I didn't even realize.
Yes. That's rad.
Yeah.
Oh man. I want to give a quick shout out. I didn't have any of these toys, but I remember vividly the commercials and these cartoons. Gargoyles, obviously. It was like, that's one of those cartoons that I don't think since like Transformers or G.I. Joe that a voice cast for an animated cartoon. I mean, I guess other than
it was
Batman
The
the
Wire
Animated
of
Series.
90s cartoons.
It was The Wire of children's animated cartoons. Like, it was so good. I mean, Keith David as Goliath, just, man, it made an impression for sure. And Biker Mice from Mars, again, it was one of those, like, after the Turtles hit it big, I feel like every comic book, every toy company, every animation studio was just like, quick, think of like a couple adjectives, find some weird like animal and slap a samurai or ninja or knight, whatever gimmick on them, and let's print some toys. But Biker Mice from Mars was one of those like weird cartoons where like I couldn't tell you anything about the cartoon right now, but I just remember like watching it being like, this is cool. Now I'm gonna have to dip into my X-Men money or my Batman money.
Yeah.
But enough of the kid games. It's time for the main event. Let's talk about the Mighty Morphin and miscellaneous mid-90s. And when I say that, we're going to go right into it. The one franchise that came out of nowhere and became a global phenomenon to the point where established toy franchises such as Transformers were forced to take a back seat, cancel their Generation 2 repaints and reissues, and try to figure something else out because Power Rangers took the world by storm. For better or worse, who's to say? But I had a lot of fun with it. So I did have them all, but the ones I had were the little like stocky ones that you flip the
the
thing
head
and
to
like
the
heads roll
helmet.
back. Yeah. Those, I had all of those, and I felt like the coolest dude at the playground with my Tommy Oliver.
You would.
I did, yeah. And then
Oh, man.
forcing all of my family begrudgingly against their will to watch the show and the movie because they loved me. They wanted me to be happy. And my mom, I will tell the story about the red. So it was the time after the Dragon Zords, and they were becoming, or no, the Dinozords. It was going from Dinozords to the Dragon Zords, and I, on my Christmas list, number one at the top was the Red Dragon Zord. I had to have it because I actually didn't get any. I didn't have any of the Dinozords, but I was like, I want to get some Zords, and so my mom, bless her heart, shout out to mom if you're listening or watching. She would go on a fig hunt basically at least once every week, but maybe a couple of times, like 2-3 times a week. And she would hit Target, Walmart, the KB Toys in the mall, kind of in the next town over, Venture, and then on the weekends a Toys R Us. And that was her life for like about a month and a half, I would assume, until finally one day she calls up at Target and she asks them, "Do you have any Red Dragon Zords?" I think the person said, "Yes, ma'am, we do. We have one left." And she was at work, because just because you're working doesn't mean you should stop fig hunting. Uh, Always be hunting.
It's easier than ever
So
now.
it is absolutely easier than ever now. Yeah, back then you actually had to talk to people and
Uh-huh.
trust that they were telling you the truth, that they actually had stuff. So she was trying to avoid having to get off work, so she was calling around to some people, trying to call in favors. Nobody could be bothered to make a Target run to salvage to make her child's Christmas come true. And so she took off work, drives over to the Target, gets a Red Dragon Zord, and the rest, as they say, is Christmas magic history. But what about you, Randy?
So I was told, hey, Randy, there's a show coming on this day when I was 5 years old. And I was like, okay. And then I watched it and I did not realize how much it would like define my next few years of life. Like that was my main toy line. Um I had figures. I was a big weapon guy. I had the like cannon, all the weapons they would like form together to shoot. Honestly, I missed the Dino Zords too, and I'm wondering if they just weren't like massively available, and then like they just did like a way bigger print run of like the Thunder Megazord because I had that.
Yeah.
Though those jerks made that Red Dragon Zord leg way too easy to break off. I swear I'm not the only one. Yeah. Gosh. Um, like I said, I had all those McDonald's ones, which had little vehicles, which was pretty cool. I had about 4 or 5 of the head flippers as well. I had it was a later Red Ranger. It might have been like the space set, which was probably when I was like gonna start waning
On your way
off.
out.
But like it was a battleizer, right? So he had like this like cool helmet that went on top, and he got these wings with missiles that like shot. I love battle gear upgrades. Like I
Yes.
love it when Optimus Prime has a trailer with all his weapons, right? I love it when the guy has like slightly different colored armor than normal. Like that's always a win. Um, and then yeah, I had like 3 figures from when I was like 3, when my family was in Korea, and for the Japanese version, Super Sentai, and so I didn't even realize I had Power Rangers before I knew what Power Rangers was. So yeah, it's got a special place in my heart for sure.
Yeah. Mike, I don't recall you collecting a lot of Power Rangers back in the day, but you did watch with patient begrudgance as I watched Power Rangers.
I was discovering girls at the time, So I remember the Pink Ranger. I was like, man, she don't look too bad. So I didn't mind watching it. Plus, like when I was watching you, it was easy. You just went in your little Power Rangers mode and just zoned out and just stared at the TV. Easiest kid to watch. Throw you some Doritos, get you a Dr. Pepper, put you in front of the TV, let you watch Power Rangers. And then I could nurse my crush on the Pink Ranger, like I'm sure so many other fans have. I remember I was watching one episode that really ticked me off. It was the episode where Tommy was like a jerk or something.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That was most of them.
don't do that, Tommy. Don't treat her that way. That Red Ranger will come in and steal your girl, dude. But it got sorted out by the end.
Yeah.
That movie was the first movie I remember like my dad taking me to. We lived in a really small town, Missouri. We had a 2-screen movie theater. And of course, one of them was the Power Ranger movie. And my poor dad just sat through that with half naked Dulcea, like spinning her batons and fighting Vulturemen and Ivan Zeus. All the,
AKA Gandalf the Purple.
throw some goop in your parents' face.
Thing with Transformers the movie, G.I. Joe the movie, Power Rangers the movie. Anytime there's that like the movie attached, call it the Transformer the movie guy in me. I'm like, man, I hope they don't kill someone. And Joseph's gonna have to process like one of the main characters dying because I just can't let Transformers the movie go.
By that time, I'd already been watching and committing to memory the Transformers the movie, so I was prepared. And it's funny because they almost did it with Zordon in that movie.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's like on death's door.
He's literally on his deathbed. Like,
it's okay though. They got ninja suits instead. So it was.
Yeah, they got ninja suits. They put him back in the tank. He's fine. He's probably fine. But after Power Rangers hit it big, we got a bunch of offshoots.
So
by a bunch of offshoots. The two I remember were VR Troopers and Big Bad Beetleborgs. I think I don't remember much of VR Troopers. I think I had the main guy that was like half blue and half red. He looked really cool. Like they looked really cool. Yeah, but I was super into Big Bad Beetleborgs.
Yeah.
They were super cool, and like you were saying, like they had like the I remember the blue Beetleborg had like the upgrade kit where he had the wings and he had like the gun and the sword. Like it was awesome, and like the toys were it was solid back then. Like they started kind of messing around with articulation, and that was really cool, and it was also really shiny.
Yeah, I had the gold, like, because they were blue, red, and green, and then later they all got like some kind of metallic color, and the blue one became like gold and blue. So I had that one, and he had like a beetle hide shield kind of thing and a golden sword. So that was my main Beetleborg figure.
Yeah. So while Randy and I were just up to our faces in Power Rangers and Beetleborgs, there was a cultural phenomenon that happened. Much like at the end of the 80s, there was a new Batman movie, and the marketing wizards at Warner Brothers, back whenever they half knew what they were doing when it came to these big tentpole Batman superhero movies, I'm not bitter at all. The marketing blitz was just astounding. Specifically, the action figures. Mike, talk us through the Batman Forever action figures, and also just that time, because what I remember is Seal doing the song and all of your toys that you had.
Well,
they were cool.
Let me get this out of the way. The movie sucked. It did.
Oh, well,
we didn't go see it in the theater. I remember watching it when Mom rented a VCR. Just watching it and just thinking, this is terrible. Like
I could
it was
see
just
that, though.
uncomfortable to watch. Like Jim Carrey was just Jim Carrey in it, and Tommy Lee Jones was he didn't handle the Two-Face role very well. He was more comedic. It was just odd. Didn't like the movie.
But Drew
But-
Barrymore, though, right?
Yeah.
So I will say if it's one of those movies where context matters. If you turn it on or you walk into it thinking this is going to be a continuation of the Tim Burton Batman movies, you're going to have a bad time. If all you know is like the late 80s, like Dark Knight Returns, gritty, realistic, like Batman, you're going to have a worse time.
Was a metaphor for a crap movie.
But if you grew up on the Adam West, like campy, like 66 Batman, you're probably going to think it's okay. You know, and also Val Kilmer, I think he was miscast as Bruce Wayne, but not that he's a bad actor, because like Tombstone,
I think he did the best
came
he could. I'm just going to call the script terrible. I'm going to call the
Sure.
directing terrible.
called the
Val
nipples on the
Kilmer trying to.
suit terrible.
Yeah,
That was more.
his
He was just trying to
revel-
shine a turd.
his
Yeah.
revelation of like who the Riddler was, where he's like Edward Enigma, he's the Riddler. It's like the driest. Like it's supposed to be like the big revelation of the movie, but no.
Yeah. Again, that's because I'm pretty sure Joel
blame the
Schumacher
writing, for sure.
was telling him, Adam West, think Adam West. Don't worry about what Michael Keaton did. We're Adam West.
Just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But with that caveat said,
Yeah.
the toy line was banging.
Fire.
There were
Straight
so
fire.
many good figures. So many. I'm a fan of like Arctic stuff. I talked about it when I talked about the Plo Koon stuff in the Star Wars episode. Loved all the different versions. The Batmobile looked so cool. I had the remote control car, and when you pressed it forward, it would light up. Just so cool. Such a good line.
You had the Batwing too, which was that thing was a
Yeah.
hoss.
It was.
And also the toys were smart enough not to put nipples on the suits. I appreciated that.
Also, Target re-released them lately, so
Mhm.
it's been
At
tempting.
a very reasonable price too. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's the best part, because like you remember whenever toys used to be accessible and readily available, it's like, sure, grandma, let's get you back into bed.
Yeah. You don't have to sit there and nurse a telephone trying to get Hasbro to drop stuff because you know it's going to sell
I
out.
hate that word. It's a drop. It's like just put it on the shelves, boys.
Just, do you want my money or not? Oh man. So speaking of Batman Forever, I and Val Kilmer, the one of the missteps I see is like one of the greatest wasted opportunities was that we never got a toy, like an action figure line for Tombstone, because I think that would have been a lot of fun.
I think had that come out like closer to today, we would definitely have action figures of that, right? Like we get Walking
McFarlane
Dead.
would have made it.
Yeah, we get Walking Dead figures now. Like there's like figures for almost everything, like any show these days. But that would be an interesting like toy line. Like, oh, here's your John Wayne Rooster Cogburn figure. You know, like
Yeah. give something for our dads to like collect. You know, like they're already in the toy section with us anyway, making sure we don't get kidnapped. You know, like give them a little section to look at. You know?
yeah.
So, but and also James Bond toy line would have been cool since Goldeneye had come out. I think in
Yeah.
'95, and they could have opened it up like after the first wave of GoldenEye figures. Then they could have went back and did like the Connery Bond and like all of those bad guys.
They
Like
could
they
have
could have
also had the vehicle line,
yeah, like
done
that
vehicles,
Aston Martin. Yeah, it just that
BMW.
wasted opportunity, but it's okay. We weren't supposed to have nice things anyway. Um, and then around that time, like the Power of the Force, Star Wars releases, and then the Shadows of the Empire, which we've talked about ad nauseum. I'm not gonna rehash that stuff, but cue the semisonic because it is closing time. Really, at the so as far as like the late '90s, I just remember pro wrestling, getting into pro wrestling. Uh, the my very first match that I remember seeing was during the Monday Night Wars, and Goldberg's streak was like happening, and it was Goldberg versus Sting. And I just remember you and our oldest brother talking about how Goldberg is going to win and how he's like, super cool because he was the new guy, and he was booked to be a monster. But his opponent that night was this guy in like red and black face paint. Or it might have been white and black, but I'm pretty sure it was red and black face paint and looked super cool. I was like, "Who's that guy?" And I think you or Will were like, "That's Sting." I was like, "That's my guy," and he has been ever since. So I remember getting a lot of pro wrestling action figures. Randy got me the Rock for my birthday when we were in the 6th grade.
That was like the one
But
wrestler I knew at the time.
it's
I was
probably
like,
still the one
and it's,
wrestler,
and
you
it's got,
know.
and it's got like cool weights.
And his elbow pad removed, so you could do the most electrifying move in sports entertainment. But, and then let's see, Batman Beyond, Mike. I remember you collected a few Batman Beyond figures.
Yeah, I really liked that show. But once again, Paul Dini does such a good job of strengthening his villain core. And I applaud him for making something like that and not relying too much on the older characters. He made them essentially just kind of like a special every now and then thing. But he really focused in on making some unique characters like Ink
Yeah.
10. I really like that 10 storyline. Uh, such cool stuff. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Also, figures were accessible. That was another thing is you could go to your local store and just pick those up.
Yeah. And then can't talk the end of the '90s without the Star Wars Episode 1 figures and toys. Like I had I had the first full 2 waves of that. I remember like one of my favorite memories was when we would get home from school and you would be like, "Joseph, get in the car," and we get in your Buick with like the red pad like
Yeah.
cushion seats with like the electric like speedometer, and we would go on fig hunts for Episode 1 stuff, and it was very very fond memories of that. And then, but late '90s, as just as important as Power Rangers were to the mid '90s, at the tail end, we get another Japanese invasion, this time in the form of pocket monsters. And this will kind of segue into our card goblin segment, where we're going to talk Pokemon and Magic the Gathering.
And
because
I'm
that was
going to throw a
also
curveball in there at the end. So I'll let you guys talk about. Well, I'll also talk about Magic, but I'm going to throw
Yeah.
a curveball in there for this.
Man, before we get into this, I just want to say real quick, like I had a vastly different experience. Like Joe, you had the gentle older brother Obi-Wan hands to kind of guide you. Like Star Wars was like I liked those movies because they came on USA and that's how I got to see them. And like Phantom Menace is when I actually became a Star Wars fan. Like something awakened inside of me when those doors open and Darth Maul sparks up the double-bladed lightsaber. So like, yeah, just count yourself blessed. I had to find my way a lot out there. But yeah, probably explains why I'm a Darth Maul guy.
Yeah. Well, also, like, in your defense, though, like, he's just
Darth Maul's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of Japanese invasion, I think Pocket Monsters was the first game I like stayed up like when I was told to go to bed and like blanket
Played
over
on
my
your
head
Game
on
Boy?
the Game Boy. Like I'm fighting the Elite Four. I'm not going to sleep until I beat
Yep.
these guys for sure.
And then you get sandbagged, and Gary shows up after you beat everybody. It's like, oh, you just missed. Like, you're just too late. There's somebody else you got to fight.
And you
But-
still don't get to heal your team. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that before even like playing all the how deep I got into Final Fantasies, that's probably what like traumatized me. It's like I have to save all my potions, I have to save all my elixirs because I never know when I'm going to get thrown into this impossible marathon.
Resource
So,
scarcity.
Yeah.
It's a thing. But,
Even though you have like 99 in your inventory, but I might need
That's why I always use the boomerang in Castlevania, because I could get them back.
that.
That's smart. That's smart. Yeah. Super Castlevania 4. You and our uncle played the dog stuffing out of that.
Yeah,
But
it was an awesome game.
it was, the soundtrack was excellent. Soundtrack was excellent.
It was banging.
But yeah, just getting back to Pokemon, man, like that was insane. Like that whole thing, because just like the cards were everywhere, like, and they were reasonably priced. Imagine that, reasonably priced cardboard.
That was probably one of the coolest things my mom ever did. Is I just came home and there was like some base set packs from the store she worked at. She had brought home, and I pulled the Blastoise out of like my first pack, and I was just like, "This is amazing."
Big man Blastoise. Yeah, man. And then getting like the binders with the sleeves and taking them to school and trying to like do some trades while also not getting them confiscated from the teachers, and it was a big deal, man. It was huge. But okay, so you want to talk Magic, or throw us your curveball?
Yeah, we can talk Magic.
Okay, because all of my formative memories of Magic were you making a new deck and then being like, "Hey Joseph, come sit at the table and play me. I need to test out this deck." And then I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, you can read the cards though. It's like, okay, but I don't know what any of these mean.
What's funny is my earliest memory of Mike is around Magic as well too, because he was in Virginia or something, but he came home for your birthday, and it was at the laser tag arena, and like we were like just kind of getting into Magic, and like Mike like it was like, guys, this is what the stack is, and I was like, I don't know if I like this game anymore. But no, he was like showing us, okay, this is like real Magic, guys. So for sure.
I remember when I started playing in the 90s, my friend, his tastes were like black and like green together. Like his tastes were like Golgari, and he would mix in an occasional dragon, but mostly he stayed in like the black territory. Me, I would swap between white and green, and sometimes I'd mix them together. And as I got more experience building decks, I built a Elf Flame deck with mana dorks and just overload and then keep a fireball in my hand, right? But I remember us having some very weird games, because his stuff would be like all vampires and my stuff would be all angels. Or one time I tried to make a banding wolf deck.
I remember that one.
It's just looking back, it was straight trash. But man, sometimes those decks are the funnest, man, because you see like where you were, then now where you're at, and just the power creep from him, right? Like banding was, at that time pretty big, because you could control, how damage is dealt, and that was huge. But now it's just like you got to tap mana to do that. That's not that great, man. It's really clunky. So I remember that about Magic.
The mechanics really bad back then, about like whatever mechanic just came out, you were for sure the next set was going to hose that one, right?
Yeah.
It's like Vigilance heavy set, next set has a bunch of dudes that tap your dudes. So great.
Yeah.
But yeah. I remember learning there was like a 6th edition starter box. That's how I learned the game, kind of. And then they had 7th edition was where I really got in. There was 5 monocolored starter decks. There was like a white one with the Seer Advocate, and there was like a red Goblin one, and there was like a black Zombie Knight one. But yeah, those are good times. I mean, 7th edition. That's what a long time ago.
Yeah. Didn't one of those box sets come with a CD-ROM that you can put into your computer, and it would you could play like a sample of like the game?
Yes.
I played that a lot. Like a lot. Like more so than I did the actual game.
Yeah.
So my curveball, I'm just going to throw this out there. When I was a kid in the 90s, a young punk, I loved Marvel cards. Will had comics. We both liked the comics. So it was like the next step in the progression, right? Of just Marvel cards, man. And I remember going to the mall and there'd be little kiosk and you could buy like a $3 pack. And that was like out the door. And I would mow 2 lawns and I would occasionally get exactly $3 and I would be able to buy a Marvel pack. And it was so awesome. I remember there were just some bangers because you could go and you could collect, your favorites. Like
try to build out a master set.
Yeah, you could try to build a master set, but then it's like I'm an adult now and they're not that pricey. So I was able to go back through and but like this set right here, hopefully you guys, can y'all see that?
No,
because it completely,
yeah.
Like
we'll throw some pictures on the Instagrams.
Cool. Yeah, they show like it's like a full puzzle piece, like 9, because I knew that you would keep it in a binder. So they were really cool. I loved Marvel cards. Did you guys ever get any?
So I did not collect them myself, but I believe I acquired one via my brother's room and was my introduction to Psylocke, and it was really great artwork, amazing artwork. And
that makes sense.
Psylocke's been one of my favorites ever since.
So you had your like Pete Ranger moment with me.
But
also it's cool to think about how they evolve too. Like now, like Flair Upper Deck, they knock it out of the park, man. They do really cool stuff.
I just remember.
Interrupt you.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, I remember that you guys had this card where you flip it on the back and it was an advertisement for the cards, but it was like you can see like Spider-Man's hand, Thing's hand, Hulk's hand, and like Wolverine's hand all holding like cards, and they were like trading. And I thought that was really cool. Like it was a cool little advertisement for them.
I did want to throw out one thing for late 90s. It was like at the very end. That's when a lot of the like more anime style cartoons started hitting Fox. And I definitely got hit with the Yu-Gi-Ohs. I was on the Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White Dragons, for sure. There was a couple other ones. They might have come like early 2000, but I know Yu-Gi-Oh was there right at the end of 99. But yeah, like 90s really transitioned into my aesthetic. Like I followed that bell curve real well.
Well, I think that's probably going to do it for this iteration of our 90s retrospective. If we missed something, if you were heavily into collecting something that we didn't talk about, let us know in the comments. We would love to hear from you. Real quick, Dallas Fort Worth G.I. Joe and action figure show. It's coming up June 27th through the 29th. We are planning on being there that Saturday for a bit. It's going to be at the DFW Airport Marriott in Irving, Texas. And for more info, you can check out DFWJoeShow.
We are never going to stop asking Randy to join us.
I went to one BotCon, and I had some good memories and some strange memories. I don't know.
It's a little different because
there might be a little too much commerce going on there for me, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Watching Tyler at Dallas Vintage is I can't recommend that enough.
Yeah, I might go just for that.
Yeah. You can just so we can watch him walk in and just be like, I own this place now. I bought a flag here. No. But all right, well, that's gonna do it for us. Randy, thank you so much for being on, helping us out. Tell the kind folks where they can find you. Like, what are you doing? Are you creating content? If so, what does that look like?
So, yes, I am part of X and One. It is a channel we cover Star Wars Legion, the war game, as well as more recently Halo Flashpoint. We do the X and One cast every other week on Mondays, and we do Halo Flashpoint once a month, last Friday of the month, and random other videos involving that stuff. We love the strategy. We love the hobby part of it, painting the minis. I love a good, as that one dude in Arizona said in that game store, damn, that's a fine fig. I love finding a fine fig.
That's how Halo Flashpoint got me. Like once I saw the Spartan models, I was like, oh gosh. To the point where I'm forcing myself to learn Blender, which is a 3D modeling program, just so that I can like try to figure out how to like do our own Halo Spartans for minis. Because I have a problem.
Randy, so if someone was wanting to start Legion, what tool would you suggest to get them started?
So I would wait a couple of months because they have brand new starter boxes coming out, and then you could find it on our channel. But there's another Oklahoma content creator. They just put out a new how to play the game video that's very good. It's at Jerry's Game Shop, and I would check that out. It walks you through all the stuff you need. Yeah, but that is one of those games. Don't try and learn it by yourself. Like, go to a game store, find someone who knows how to play the game, have them teach you. It will be much more enjoyable and much easier to pick it up. And I think that, big part of the game is enjoying the community for sure. So a lot of good guys, at least in this area, playing the game. So
awesome. Well, Mike, did you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, just I think that'll do it for us. I just want to give a quick shout out to Tyler. Miss you, and he should be back in the next episode, as we hope you will too. So in the meantime and in between time, I've been Joe. With me has been Mike and special guest Randy. And when it comes to the Neon 90s, you all helped us figure it out. Take care.
Bye, y'all.